bombshell filing, 9/11 hijackers were CIA recruits. At least two 9/11 hijackers had been recruited into a joint CIA Saudi intelligence operation that was covered up at the highest level, according to an explosive new court filing. This is by the Grayzone's Kit Clarenberg. So Max, talk to us about this story.
Our worst fears about this particular episode have been seemingly confirmed through a 2021 court filing, which was just released, which came in the form of a 21-page declaration by the lead investigator of the Office of Military Commissions, which is overseeing the cases of the 9/11 defendants. His name is Don Canestraro, and he had interviewed several FBI agents who were involved in investigating 9/11 and seeking actually to prevent the attack in the months leading up to the attack. So basically, this relates to two of the hijackers, the so-called muscle hijackers, who were charged with overwhelming one of them was a muscle hijacker, overwhelming the passengers and getting to the cockpit. The other one was a pilot. Khalid al-Midhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. These were Saudi citizens who had attended a Al-Qaeda, they called it like a mega summit. And it was a gathering of top Al-Qaeda figures in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, back in January 2000. Now, during that summit, which again, it was a major Al-Qaeda summit. During that summit, CIA agents broke into the hotel room of al-Hazmi and al-Midhar on January 5th and January 8th and photographed their passports. They were being monitored by the CIA. The CIA knew they were there, and they knew that something was being planned, something like the Day of Planes attack, which was already within the kind of in the pipeline that was heavily monitored by US, Pakistani intelligence, all sorts of intelligence services. So al-Hazmi and al-Midhar were able to then, following this summit, from Malaysia, board a direct flight to LA International Airport, get off the flight without any screening, and then be met at the airport by Omar Bayoumi, who was posing as an employee of the Saudi Civil Aviation Authority and was in fact a Saudi intelligence officer, who then took these two characters, Al-Qaeda figures, to an apartment, paid for their lease, and then arranged for them to receive rides in taxis to flight lessons while shepherding them to and from local Saudi-sponsored mosques. This should have set off alarm bells everywhere, but the CIA refused to tell the FBI that these figures were in the country. The CIA was operating through a shady unit known as Alex Station, which had been set up in tandem with the FBI, but which operated outside the FBI's purview and was essentially a black operation charged with the ability to recruit assets. And so not only did the CIA refuse to tell the FBI about these two would-be hijackers in the US, they forbade FBI agents assigned to Alex Station from telling other FBI agents. Why would they do that? Why would they be so determined to avoid the detection of these two dangerous figures as they were being shepherded through the US by Saudi intelligence? Well, it's clear now, as was everyone suspected through Don Canestraro's filing, that they had been recruited by the CIA and were CIA assets, whether they knew it or not, and that Omar Bayoumi, the Saudi intelligence agent, was himself a CIA asset working in a US-Saudi joint intelligence operation. And this raises a lot of questions, which we'll get to, but here's the statement of an agent known simply as C3 in this filing, said that Bayoumi's contact with the hijackers and his support thereafter was done at the behest of the CIA through the Saudi intelligence service. And the explicit purpose of Alex Station was to, quote, recruit al-Hazmi and al-Midhar via a liaison relationship. And so, as Kit Clarenberg details in this excellent article, which really puts all of this into context, the FBI was not told about al-Midhar and al-Hazmi's presence in the US, or the fact that I think one of them was actually the roommate of the lead 9/11 hijacker, Mohammed Atta, at one point, which would have just wrapped up the whole operation, until the operation was in its final stages and they had already gone to New York. Even at that point, it was not made a law enforcement investigation, which would have necessitated arrests. It was simply an intelligence investigation, which necessitated nothing more than surveillance. So you can just point a finger directly at Langley, at the CIA, and at Alex Station and say, you are responsible for letting 9/11 happen. That is the most conservative analysis we can put forward.